Cool. Welcome to an episode of Decogged Reviews.
Decogged Reviews.
Dude, we haven't done this in so long. I think the last one we did was Luca, I think.
Was it Luca?
Yeah,
I
it
can't
was
even
Luca.
Remember.
Yeah, it was back when I was still in Vancouver.
And then afterwards we did Luca. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
today
this has been a while, yeah.
Yeah. So today we actually wanted to go through, I know we've been doing NFT stuff, but we still love animation, and we thought that this movie was pretty interesting in terms of both, it's from Pixar, and because there's a bit of news and controversy about it, so we want to sort of talk about it. But so this movie is turning red. How did you find the movie?
I really liked the movie, and I know probably there's people out there who really didn't.
Yeah.
But I thought man, this is a great movie in how I could see how it could be super relatable for a girl that age who has similar interests.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
So for me, technically, on an animation level, I thought it was really interesting because I think this is not the usual Pixar style, where it was very snappy timing. Yeah. Usually, I think Pixar goes for a more naturalistic, stylized realism sort of look. And for this, they really maybe 2-3 frames, they go to a pose, right? And then another 2-3 frames, and they freeze, and then another 2-3 frames, they go to another pose. Yeah. So I find that really interesting, and I like seeing Pixar not doing their same old shtick, sort of like Disney, right? And on top of that, they had these great facial expressions that,
let's show it now.
Yeah, it was so I find these so funny.
They have these really kind of non-standard facial expressions. And, it's very anime-esque. And I know the director, she said she basically said she wanted to capture a lot of that nuance of anime in the film itself.
Miss that face. This face is the very typical manga anime sort of.
It's a very anime looking manga kind of face. And even the timing of how the face animates.
It's very funny. I love that face. That face is made me crack up so hard when I first saw it. And I really appreciate it because it's not it's sort of bringing that style into the Western, more Western style of animation.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I thought. Yeah, it was really interesting. It's it wasn't just purely anime. Yeah, and it wasn't just purely that Pixar. Disney style. It was kind of this weird mashup, and it kind of works. When they wanted to play up the comedy, they would go more anime, and even the timing and everything was way more snappier.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you guys watch a movie, there's a lot more of those faces where it's there's this horrified face that she does when her mom confronts one of this grocery store clerk boy, and then the back it just becomes dark, and then this green light just shines comes from underneath, and she does this really funny anime face. And it's I think those were I find that really I really appreciate it because it's the blend of both things that I love, right? It's
I remember there's an anime called I don't know if you've seen it, but Great Teacher Onizuka.
Oh yeah.
And it had those moments where he just pulls the ugliest face, but it's it's so funny because the timing and everything. It's perfect. Yeah. So I think they're trying to incorporate a little bit of that style into the movie itself, and it works. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah,
so.
And I thought the animation was really good. I was really happy with maybe because I've been doing Groom lately. Yeah, I was watching the group. I was wow, the panda, it's so nice.
That's when you know there's oh man, there's levels to the Groom.
Yeah, it looks so plush and fluffy, and I was it was eye candy for me when I was watching it, and just the animation of how all that weight and the flubber.
It feels very jiggly. Yeah, so it had that fleshiness to it, which was really nice.
So definitely for an animator, I was sort of geeking on certain parts of it. And not of course there's always I feel I've been seeing a lot of even with any movie I've been seeing a lot more lip sync things, but that's such a sometimes I think it might be an ADR thing because they might have switched the lines towards the end. So maybe it's that, but so some there's some parts that I noticed it, but that's very very far.
Yeah, very much. I didn't notice any, like maybe because I don't do enough lip sync, so I'm not looking out for those things. But nothing like stood out for me as being wrong particularly. I mean, overall the movie is really good. Now, like, we should get to the controversy part.
Definitely. As I guess, like, for people who don't know, there was someone on a writer on Cinema Blend, or even,
is it Cinema Blend? I can't remember. Like, it was a reputable news outlet, like one of the big ones. You know, Wall Street Journal, like New York Times, or something like that. One of those. I don't want to misquote the news outlet, but one of those big news outlets had a writer who reviewed the thing and basically said, like, it was 100% not relatable. It wasn't enjoyable because of that and whatnot. And then I thought, I'm like, of course it's not going to be relatable to you. Like, dude, you're not the target audience, first of all.
Yeah, you're like, you know, and we were talking about this off camera. It's like, imagine everybody who watches, like, those Marvel films, right? I highly doubt that, like, for example, every girl's going to relate to Captain America. You know, but they still watch it and they can enjoy it.
Yeah, there's still enjoyment to be had. And that's how I felt when I watched this film. I'm like, I enjoyed it, and just probably on a different level than the target audience. But still, like, it was enjoyable. It was entertaining. You know, like, it was funny. And I could get the emotional beats and stuff like that. You know, I could kind of relate in my own way, but it's you know, obviously it's not going to be fully relatable to everybody,
especially to a male. Like, I feel like
like a middle-aged male who probably didn't grow up in the same environment, who's not like of the same ethnicity or whatever. You know, of course you're not going to have the same.
Exactly. And I find that really silly that they had, like, he had to mention it. I mean, of course he got like, his article got taken down.
It got taken down. Because it was like very
like, I thought it was like,
it was a bit tone deaf.
I thought it was mildly, in my opinion, mildly racist and sexist, but but it is what it is. Like, he gave his opinion, which I
mean, you're fair to give your opinion, but you know, it's I think if you're gonna be in a reputable news outlet and give like such a, you know, like one-dimensional opinion on the film, I think, you know, maybe that's not a proper review of the film itself.
Exactly.
But like, at the same time, I think it's important to mention, like, this kind of, like, what the story was trying to tell is, like, it's very personal, obviously, to the director herself, but I think there's a lot of people out there who can relate, like, very specifically. Because when I was watching it, I thought of my cousin, and she had very similar interests, and she was kind of into, like, she was like, not the cool kid, I wouldn't imagine, but she was very into, like, that kind of you know, like boy bands and stuff like that when she was growing up, and I could almost, like, see her as that main character, and throughout the entire film, like, I could not separate that main character and my cousin and how she was, and that's why, I mean, like, it was like, if, like, to who it can relate to, it probably meant so much, like, having that voice, you know, be, like, told, like, having that representation on screen. I think
well, I mean, I totally agree. And the fact that, like, you know, I personally, why I actually really like the movie, because I found it relatable, even though I'm not a girl going through my, like, puberty. It's like certain parts that I think they captured really well was the Asian, like, I think it captured Asian parents really well for me.
Definitely.
To the point where I was getting stressed. Like, my hands were getting clammy, and I was, like, getting angry at the mom, because I was like, oh my freaking god, this is like my fucking mom. Like, and I even talking about it, I'm, like, getting, like, annoyed that you know. And
so I mean, they did really well then. And
the culture, and it's because it's also Cantonese, like, culture. And I think they captured something, like, that was really, I think, important, where it was like, you're always told to be conservative. And that's what the panda represented was. I mean, it was representing the inner
that inner like, non-conservative side that's trying to come out, the free side that, you know.
And I think that's what's, like, really, like, I thought it was really I really liked it.
It was a great metaphor. I didn't actually think of it like that, but when you mention it now, it makes a lot of sense. It is and I think maybe that metaphor can apply not only just to, like, if you had Asian parents or not, but if you're just anyone who had parents who were like somewhat conservative, and maybe you were part of a church or something like that, you know, like kind of like how they were part of this what do you call it, the temple, I guess. But temple, maybe if you had parents who were similarly religious, and you kind of had to bottle in like that part of yourself, you could kind of relate to the main character in that.
And you almost had like the message of, you know, they had to, how do you say it? She had, like, she was a free person, but at the same time, she's not. Like, she was like, there's this hold over her, you know, where it's, she's as free as what she wants her mom, what her mom wants her to be. And I find that like a really like relatable message to most like Asians.
And I think it's something about like, you know, like seeking approval from your parents.
Exactly.
And anyone who's kind of been in that similar situation could probably relate to like the movie in that way. So I think the movie is plenty relatable to a lot of people. So, you know, I think that's a null argument. But we should also mention how it just went straight to Disney Plus, because I never saw any advertising. I think maybe I saw one piece of advertising a long time ago, and it just kind of left my head. So that's another crazy thing. This is a Pixar film that didn't air in the cinemas.
I felt like Lightyear had more, like,
Lightyear definitely had a lot more advertising. Like, it was all over Twitter. Like, I couldn't not see Lightyear. That hasn't come out yet, right? Like,
no, that hasn't come out yet. If it came out, I would have gone. But I think there's like, I think it went straight to Disney Plus. I wasn't sure whether it's because of the pandemic. Well, actually, that's part of the reason. But I also think that maybe it had to do with you said, I think briefly, that it had not that much audience. Like, good
I don't
reaction.
know. Like, this is just my probably assumption, because, you know, you look online and it is very mixed. So there's a lot of people who don't like the movie. So I think we're on one side where we do like the movie and we enjoyed it, but I think there's a whole bunch of people who are just like, what the hell, like, this is a Pixar film, like, I don't doesn't feel like one, right? It didn't hit like Pixar's like same emotional like level where everyone's like about to burst into tears or something. It wasn't like a Coco or something. But I think, you know, potentially because of that, maybe it didn't test so well with certain audiences. And I don't know how many people have worked on films, but they usually test the films with like a whole bunch of people, like before it even airs. So they'll go through rounds of changes based on testing. So, you know, like, it's all a formula to them. Like, everything, by the time it hits, like, the cinemas,
it should hit a certain,
it definitely hit, like, a certain level, right? Especially with, like, anything that Disney touches. You know it's going to be, like, tested to hell. Like, every director's kid and dog would have seen the film and given their opinion on it before it comes out.
So, I know, like, it's sad that it didn't go to the cinema. But I think this was a story that I'm glad it's just out. Just like,
exactly. I'm happy that the movie just got made. To be honest,
because it could easily, you know, this story could easily not be told. And I'm just glad that Pixar is giving it a chance to even just like have it out and really. It's not a bad thing that it's so like in a way polarizing. Because then it stirs up, like, at least it stirs up something like like an emotion.
Like people are like conversing about it, you know, like we are.
Like some of the recent movies, Pixar movies, I don't think it caused any.
It was just feeling. So like some of them were just so, I guess. It was just so like broadly appealing. In a very like. Like there's nothing to say about it really. It was kind of like Soul for me. Like Pixar's Soul. It just felt like so broadly appealing, but so generalized that I couldn't. Like I liked it, you know. I liked it, but it just wasn't like it didn't hit any chords with me. But
I absolutely hated it.
You didn't like so.
I was going in with high expectations because I love Jamie Foxx, and then it's about music, so I was like, "Yo, this is great, like jazz." But then they just... It
wasn't really about music, but
it was not about music. It was about
those like...
It was about a freaking... Like, there's a cat in there that didn't need to be there. It was just like, so... Oh, man. But anyway.
But it was like one of those films where I feel like, you know, it's hard to hate, You obviously didn't like it because you had the expectations. But if it's like any other movie that just came out and you watched it, you'd just be like, oh yeah, it's like it's cool. Like, but it wasn't like it didn't hit the peaks that it did.
Yeah,
but
it definitely didn't give me like. I mean, there was one scene like, but that was more animation where he does the piano piece with his like. Yeah, like you can see all the hand animation in the end, and I thought that was beautiful, right? But that was one one scene in the whole movie. But it definitely didn't stir any emotions for me. But so comparatively to this one, I mean, I'm not even sure if you can see, I'm like sweating talking about it because I was getting like talking about the mom part. I'm like actually sweating.
Actually sweating.
I was actually sweating. So I mean, to me, actually, like this movie actually meant a lot more than just just Pixar. Like it meant more to me because I find it a lot more relatable.
Well, I think one other thing is that it felt more innovative for Pixar with the animation style. So I think that at least I welcome that because you know, I don't want to just see the same style over and over again. And I mean, that's probably not fair to say for Pixar because they do change their style, like for a bunch of stuff. Like Good Dinosaur was a little bit different. Like they've changed their style a bunch. Like Brave was completely different. And
Luca was a bit different, but well, in terms of character design. But
but they never deviate like that far from their style. But I'm glad that they have tried something new. So I do want people to like enjoy the movie because that encourages them to like do more of that sort of stuff.
Because I think, I mean, that's why we've been saying, like, we don't want to get too long in this podcast, but like how Sony is one of the, I guess, more innovative studios right now is because they have all these different styles. While Disney and Pixar is always like, they have a tried and true method.
And they never deviate that far from that. So.
But now maybe it's a time where it's like people are getting a bit like...
you're almost like numb to
like,
the...
numb to the style.
To the 3D animation in general.
Exactly.
But this is good.
So I mean, overall, I would give it like, I thought it was entertaining to watch. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10.
I was gonna say 7 for me. I mean, that's a decent. I think it's a decent kind of. That's a very like, what do you call it? Like safe number to give it. Like, it's definitely not a 6.
Fair. I think it's a fair. I think it's a fair number. I don't think it's a safe number because I think it wasn't so like. It wasn't like Toy Story, right? Where that's a fucking like that's a 9, 10. Right?
Well, it depends which Toy Story you're talking about, but
I mean,
but all Toy Stories are 9.
Pretty. They're pretty high. Like it wasn't so innovative where it's like that, or the story wasn't so like. So crazy where it was like that.
Like I wasn't so emotionally invested as I was in like Toy Story, of course. But like then again, that's like some of the best stuff Pixar has to offer. But I think it's definitely not an 8 and it's definitely not a 6 for me. So it has to be like a 7.
Yeah, I agree. So let us know what you guys think. Out of 10, like what would you guys give it? And whatever the score, like tell us the reason why you gave it that score. Because it'll be interesting to know how you guys think. So if you like these reviews, please like the video, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Peace. Thanks for watching or listening to our content. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again. Peace.